Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Misha. Thank you guys for joining me yet again for another review. Tonight we are back with the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills season 11 episode 11. Child, let's get into it if we gonna get into it. If you are new here, then welcome. I give lighthearted reviews with a little bit of laughter and a little bit of shade. If you are back for a second or third or an 11th time, then welcome back. Please do not hesitate to stop, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. So when the episode first opens up, the ladies are still in LaQuinta, right? These nasty ladies left all the dishes everywhere that could be found. There's bugs and stuff flying around it. I'm like, ugh, this is disgusting. So Rinna is roaming around the kitchen looking for coffee. So Kyle and Dorit and Sutton, they come down, right? So Kyle finds this article once they sit down about Tom being hospitalized. So Kyle is like, oh my gosh, look at this. So Rinna's like, what is it, girl? So then she gives Rinna the phone, and Rinna's like, it's saying that his attorneys are saying that he was hospitalized, but he isn't anymore. Kyle is like, there's only so much, that Erika can really talk about, and every day is something new. So Crystal shows up looking well rested, and Kyle is like, those are some cute pants. Child, they panned over to Sutton. Sutton kind of gave out a chuckle. Sutton, don't start. Don't start. Those pants were cute and they were comfy, child. I'm not about to play with Sutton. So the plan for the day is electric bikes. Sutton's like, yeah, that's a no for me. I like to keep my feet on the ground. Child, Sutton is scared of everything. Honey, oh my goodness, child. Sutton is like, no, I don't want to do electric bikes. It's a bike, Sutton, but that's okay, child. To each its own. Child, we're going to have to put Sutton in a bubble. Moving forward, Erika shows up like me when I go to the grocery store, and she said, she couldn't sleep at all because they're like, how did you sleep? How was everything? Because, last night was a fool, right? So she's like, well, I couldn't sleep at all. She said last night was pretty intense. Yeah, it really was. We are still reeling over Tom falling off the cliff and not having one broken bone and you finding him, but he called you after being unconscious for 12 hours. We are all still registering what happened the night before, and we got an entire week as a break. And we are still trying to figure out, what were you talking about? Honey, all the lies. She said, with everything going on, she has high anxiety. Dorit said, well, I really didn't realize how bad it was until last night. This is what she's saying in her confessional, right? She said, I really don't begrudge Erika for not telling us everything, but I wonder why she doesn't trust me or feel comfortable about opening up. Well, honey, you can't tell a lie before the lie is ready to be told. Like, what would she be discussing with you before all of this unfolded, honey? So Erika and Sutton, they decide to stay back, and all the rest of the ladies are leaving. So Kathy comes roaming around the kitchen, and she hadn't slept a wink because it was too hot. She said Kyle had the AC on 76, if I can even call that AC. Girl, oh no, ma'am, honey, not Kyle trying to penny pinch on the electricity. Sutton said, well, I had the fan on, the door open because I like it cold. Kyle's sweating the girls to death. Child, it's hot as hell in that house. That is too hot. And that home is too large for you to have the AC on 76. Child, try 68. So Sutton said, she's going to get dressed. So Kathy said, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and lay back down. Let me tell y'all something. Kathy going to sleep in on a girl's trip if she don't do nothing else. Honey, I don't care what's going on. Kathy gonna get her beauty rest. So I know that's right. That's why the skin still looks like porcelain. Over in the next scene, the other ladies, they're riding the bikes or whatever, and then they run into the shop real quick. They start ordering like they've never been out. Can I get a latte? Do you have pickles? Do you have onions? Do you guys have bread? Oh my God, there's cream. I'm like, oh my goodness, are y'all okay, honey? So they order up everything they can find, and then they go take a seat, and as soon as they sit down, Kathy comes calling. She's like, Kyle, is there a straw here for my shake? And I need some chia seeds. Kathy is so spoiled. So Kyle was like, no, I don't have straws and I don't have chia seeds. She's like, can you see if they have any? She's like, I'm not in a car and I'm not about to find any chia seeds, but I will get you a straw. Talk to you later. Gotta go. Bye-bye. So as they're sitting there, Dorit said, look, if you don't have to be self-sufficient, this is what she said in her confessional, why wouldn't you be, Kathy? Well, touche, honey, touche. But listen, I like to do things on my own. I don't want someone doing something for me all of the time. Kyle once again brings up Erika, honey. Y'all know she love to keep the mess going, honey, and we are here for it. So Kyle said, imagine being married to someone that's 81 and he's cheating on you. Dorit said it's not even about him being 81. It's the fact that he did it and he was so mean to her. Child, please. The same way that Erika flips on you, or what? Say it again. Tell me I have amnesia and I'll break your neck. The way that she does that to you is probably the same way she was doing to Tom, honey. You think she just sat there and was like, oh my God, Tom, no. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm sorry. No. The Erika that flipped on Garcelle is the Erika that was behind closed doors with Tom, honey. And y'all ain't fooling me, allegedly. So, you know, she said she worked really hard to try and paint a different picture, honey, and still is. Erika has been painting a picture since you guys met her, okay? So then she says, you know, I just hope that Erika is thinking about herself. I hope she has someone advising her. Honey, someone is definitely advising her, Dorit, so don't worry. So they're all talking, right? And so they're talking about what she's getting and what she's not getting. And they're like, she's not getting a penny. So Rena said, I don't think there's a penny to get. This is my thing. All y'all care about is the money. That's it. When are any of you gonna say, oh, I feel so bad for the victims. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. Y'all went in on Denise. Okay? In on her last season. She couldn't catch a break. On every corner, y'all were just there interrogating. But when it comes to Erika, see, y'all are fearful of Erika. And I'm not changing that. You're afraid of Erika. Okay? You're afraid of her wrath. And so you don't want to say anything to ruffle her feathers. But quiet as it's kept, honey, y'all have not said anything about these poor victims. The things that they're being accused of are straight awful, okay? They're awful. And all any of you have worried about is how much Erika will walk away with. Honey, Erika walking away with something is the whole problem. She needs to walk away with absolutely nothing. In the next scene, the ladies get back and Kyle is like, where is everyone? Sutton was like, that's what I've been asking for a few hours now. She's like, well, where is Erika? Sutton was like, yeah, she's asleep. Yeah, you know, she got to keep her strength up after a long night of lying. Honey, she got to get her nap in. So Kyle wants to start decorating her Christmas tree, right? Which was so random. This was the most random nothingness trip that I've ever seen. They went from being in the house listening to Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. Erika decided to fake cry. She took one big gasp and that was the end of that. And then the next morning comes, there's dishes everywhere. Kyle has absolutely no kind of hospitality whatsoever. There's not any breakfast anywhere. They get up and get on these electric bikes. She's kept them in the heat. It's 76 degrees. They go sit outside. She's looking for chia seeds. Then they come back and decorate a Christmas tree. Child, this is foolery. So anyway, that was just a little side note. Honey, I had to go on a little rant. So Kyle wants to decorate this tree. So then out of nowhere, Erika emerges looking like she was never asleep. I'm like, child, now she lying about taking a nap. Honey, when will it end? When will it end? So Sutton starts talking about the house that Tom and Erika have there, right? She's like, you do have a house here, right? She's like, yeah, Tom does. So they said, well, where is it? Erika said, I don't know the address. I don't know anything about it. So then Kyle looks at this directory to find out where it is. So Erika said, you know, I asked about the home several times, but I got no straight answer. So Sutton said she didn't find out that she owned 2 minor league baseball teams until after she was divorced. Listen to me, y'all. I used to want me a rich man, but not if it's going to come with all these issues, honey. I'll just be the rich one instead, honey, because this is just too much for me. So Kyle is like, yeah, I've never seen Tom around here. Erika said, yeah, well, somebody has to live there. So then Kyle said, well, what if? And then she stopped for a minute, right? She was like, you know what? I'm not even going to say it. Erika said, I've already thought about that. What if there's an entirely different family there and a whole woman and all of this? It's really amazing to me how Erika is painting this picture of Tom having all these mistresses in different area codes and he's sending them money and he's so mean to her and he's, you know, cussing her out each and every night. Like, it's just too much. Okay. The theatrics, the performative, you know, dialogue, it's just too much. It is really too much for me. So Kathy concocts a plan. Kathy said, just play crazy, honey, as my grandma would say. She said, tell security you need to get into the house. You need them to open it. Tell them that you travel a lot and you get confused. And in fact, you just remember that you even had a place down there. You've been staying in a hotel. Side note, I was watching Rena as this scene was going on. Rena looks so much prettier without makeup. I just want to say that. So she's trying to concoct this plan or whatever. Kathy, you know what? People said that you put on an act and this is not who you actually are. And Paris adopted that same thing when she was, that's hot. When she was doing all of that, people said that that was an act. Now I believe it because you came up with this too quick. Okay? And honey, I'm watching you. Erika said, it wouldn't work for me, but I'm sure it'll work for Kathy. Honey, I'm sure it will too, because Kathy got it down packed, okay? But that sounds too far-fetched. I don't think it will work for anyone. That's just me. I don't think you can just call someone and say, I forgot I had a home here. Like, what have you been doing? Like, how could you not know you have an entire piece of property in a specific area? It makes no sense. So Kyle said, well, I sent a text to the general manager, so let's see what happens with that. Kyle being Kyle, she said, so did you see what they said about him today? Erika, why aren't you going off on Kyle for getting in your business? For being a nosy friend? Some things are not up for discussion. Why aren't we going off on Kyle? Girl. So then Rena said, yeah, the lawyers are saying he's sick and that's why he didn't pay those people. You mean the victims? Honey, not those people, the victims. So Erika's like, I don't know what that is or where it comes from, but I read it this morning. Sure you don't. In the next scene, they're getting ready to go play croquet. And Kathy is like, well, let me just drink my shake. I'll see y'all out there. Kathy. Baby, Kathy is in no rush to do anything. Do y'all hear me? So then they go out to play croquet. Nobody has any idea what they're doing. So Kyle says, I think people think if you're well off or you live in a nice neighborhood, you play croquet. No, Kyle, you think that, okay? I have never looked at an affluent neighborhood and said, oh, I bet they play a mean game of croquet. Girl, nobody is saying that. That is all you. So anyway, so after pretending to play, they take a seat on the grassy knoll, and Erika is like, this was supposed to help me feel better, but I actually feel worse. And honey, you're going to feel even worse. Just hang on. Kathy finally shows up. She's like, what are we playing? Duck, duck, goose? Kathy, come on in and sit down, girl. She's like, I came just in time. Oh, Kathy. Oh, child. So then they start talking about Garcelle and her arrival, right? And they're like, oh, she'll be here soon. Kyle is like, well, she didn't want to stay at the house because of COVID or because of someone. Kyle is so messy. Now, dang on well, she did not want to stay there because you guys just got over COVID. And quiet as it's kept, I wouldn't want to stay there with you heifers either. Coughing and fingering the food and bread all on the floor and you're placing it on the table. Oh, no, ma'am, honey, I'm exactly the same way. So Rena is like, no, we're actually good. It is what it is. We're taking it one day at a time. Kyle is like, well, did she follow you back on Instagram? So Rena said, I don't know. I didn't check. So here go Kyle in her confessional. Well, I know she didn't because I checked and she doesn't follow me or her. See, this could be the reason why she's not following you. If you knew the answer, why even bring it up? Honey, Kyle can just not help herself. Honey, she is a mess. So in the next scene, they go back to the house, right? This trip is a bunch of nothing, as I stated. Once they get there, Garcelle shows up in full PPE and open-toed shoes. I thought this was hilarious. She was disinfecting the heifers from head to toe with this blue light. I'm like, child, that ain't gonna do nothing. You better get some Lysol. But honey, I know that's right, Garcelle, because you can never be too careful, okay? I'm not about to take nothing home with me. I wear that to the grocery store myself. I'm just saying, honey, my son has asthma, and I'm not taking no chances, okay? Especially with this Delta variant. So then Rena says in her confessional, this is the Garcelle I just love, the free, non-judgmental Garcelle, having a good old time. Honey, as she literally judges you in her suit after you had COVID. Okay, Rena, whatever you say. Moving forward. Later that night, Garcelle meets up with Crystal to get ready to head to dinner, right? So they have a little talk, and Crystal tells Garcelle that last night Erika wore her heart on her sleeve. And she was like, yeah, she said he's cheating, he's sick. Garcelle said, what? Shocking. Honey, didn't I tell y'all I couldn't wait for Garcelle to hear it? Honey, because I knew she was going to ask the burning questions, okay? And the way she said, shocking, I know she was calling BS in her mind. I know she was. So Garcelle said, hold up, Tom is cheating? Well, it was a different story at my house. So in the confessional, we see the flashback of when she told her there was no infidelity whatsoever, right? This is the thing. She cannot keep her story straight. When you lie, honey, at least be good at it. And my grandmother always told me, honey, when you tell one lie, you got to tell another lie, you got to tell another lie, and you got to tell another lie. That's just the way it works. And a side note, Garcelle, this red dress confessional is giving. It is giving, honey. It is giving very much Jamie Foxx show fancy realness. Honey, I love it. I love everything about it. All the ladies start to arrive to Erika's casita, and they got Crystal on the drinks, and everybody's just mingling, having a good time. So then they sit down for a minute, and they start talking about Erika's assistants, right? Now, this is where the lies start for this episode. Well, they started as soon as they held out those diamonds when this season started, but that's neither here nor there. So they're talking about the assistants, and Erika is like, I don't have anyone. I don't have any more. I learned how to go into a bank in March. Never knew how to deposit money or had a debit card. Erika, girl, look. I know y'all are trying to create the narrative that you couldn't possibly know about the money because look, poor Erika doesn't even know what the inside of a bank looks like. Erika, please. You were a waitress getting paid in cash. Where did you store your money? In a Crown Royal bag? Girl, goodbye, honey. That's all of this is just lies. You had a son. Okay, you had a son, bills were due, and you were 28 years old when you met Tom. So you want me to believe that you never went to a bank or obtained a credit card in 28 years? Girl gone, honey, the whole time Sutton looking like, girl, you a lie. Honey, I know that's right, Sutton. Let me tell you something. I had a little riff with Sutton in the beginning, but now I'm back Team Sutton, honey, because Team Sutton and Team Garcelle, honey, you ain't fooling them. So the whole time Sutton looking like, girl, please. And they sit down all dressed up to eat out of these to-go boxes. Child, a mess. So Kyle tells Erika, she found the address. She's like, I don't think you have it anymore. Now, notice her choice in words. She said, I don't think you have it anymore. Knowing full well she already knows the 411 on this address. So Erika says, so what's going on with this? She's like, yeah, I think he sold it back in 2018. So Erika said, how can he sell it and not tell me? Sutton said he can't. But forensics will find all the money, so don't worry about that. So then she starts going into what forensics does and this and that and the third. Well, then, this is my thing. If you already knew that they sold it in 2018, why don't you just say they sold it in 2018? Kyle really irks my nerves, honey. She's so passive aggressive. It just really gets on my nerves, honey. So Sutton is like, you want to know where every penny is because you're going to split it, because in California, as in Texas, it's a community property state. So whatever they have, you have. Child, but trust me, she knows exactly where the money is. Honey, she definitely knows. So then Kathy wanted to break up the foolishness. So she said, let's play around the table. And each lady has to say something about them in one word. So they all go. But of course, Erika skips her turn. How convenient. Then we find out that Crystal is a descendant of Confucius, honey, and we have a little bit of a conversation about that. And just like that, the picnic is over. I'm like, child, these ladies. The next day, the ladies go out for a day of shopping. We have Kathy, Kyle, Renna, Dorit, and Sutton. We get a FaceTime cameo from Nikki Hilton. I'm like, oh, okay, hey, girl. And Kyle is talking about how Kathy is dressed. She's like, look at how your mom's dressed. Kathy said, we're in the desert on a girls' trip. What am I supposed to do? Dress up? Honey, I know that's right. Richer than all y'all put together. And as casual as she wants to be. I know that's real, Kathy. Go ahead and live your life, honey, the casual way. Is that cotton? Child, I love it. So once Kyle grabs the phone to starting to be all extra, Nikki was like, okay, I gotta go. Over in the mountains on the rocks, Garcelle is dressed like she's ready for a bank heist, or Spinelli from Recess. Y'all remember that show Recess? Honey, I don't know if that's just me, but she was dressed just like Spinelli. And I'm like, what is happening here? So they're walking and they're talking, right? And we find out that Garcelle is the youngest of 7. And let me tell y'all something. The view from those mountains, oh my gosh, the view was beautiful. So Garcelle goes, Erika, with any of the lawsuits, did you have a heads up? Is that why you got divorced? Honey, these are the burning questions Garcelle is asking what we all want to know, honey. Let me tell you, I was on the edge of my seat. I knew she was going to lie, but I just wanted to see her expression. And you know what I would have wished? I wished that she would have taken off those sunglasses. You always need to look people in their eyes, okay? Because that is the way you can tell if they're lying or not. Their body language, their eyes, if they're being a little shifty. Honey, I need to see it all. So she's like, no, I didn't. Of course you didn't. She was like, it was a long time coming. 3 years ago, he hit his head. He had an injury. And then he just changed. So then she tells her that he will repeat stories 10 times a day. He was forgetful. Honey, tell us more. Tell us more, Erika. She said, he would get angry with her. She was basically his whipping boy. So the whole time, Garcelle's sitting there with the screw face trying to figure out, like, girl, what? Okay, girl, if you say so. So Garcelle said, so all the things that they're saying happened, do you think that's because of the mental decline? She said, yes. It wasn't intentional. How would you know that? How would you know? I thought everything happened after the fact. I thought you left and then everything went to hell after that. So I'm just trying to figure out, how would you know? So Erika is painting this picture that Tom was not in his right frame of mind. So that's why things went the way that they went. But Erika, these things started in like 2010 or something like that, if I remember correctly, from the documentary, The Housewife and the Hustler. Honey, so the 3 years ago timeline, it makes absolutely no sense. That is a lie. She's like, he's still resisting to this day, from what I'm told. Honey, yeah, you need to hurry up and clean that up. Yeah, from what I'm told. Girl, please. Because you're still in contact with him, allegedly. She said, when I got back from Broadway, we reconnected. We ate dinner together every night, but then things just changed. She said one of the lawyers called her and was crying because of the decline in Tom's, mental state and his health. So the lawyer was just like, what can we do? What are we going to be able to do? This is what I was thinking. I wonder why Garcelle didn't recall that a few months earlier, Erika was telling her that Tom was a workhorse. She was asking about Tom, and she told her, yeah, he's a workhorse. If they piece together just this season alone, Erika is going to have to answer for all these lies. This stuff makes absolutely no sense. You have got to keep up with what you are saying. This is crazy. So then they head back to the house, and as they're walking, she's like, I just wish he could turn in the bar card and, just start over because he's in pain. I can't talk to him even though he calls me every day. They're like, he does? She's like, yeah, I had to tell my attorney to tell his attorney for him to stop calling me. So then in her confessional, she's like, Tom is in legal trouble, so I can't talk to him. So if I'm asked, I have to be able to say, not since the day I left, which is the truth. That is why this makes this sound like even more of a planned divorce. You were coached as to what to do before you moved into your humble abode. Okay? Why would a man that treated you like dirt, cut you off financially, cheated on you, fell off a cliff, you thought he was in the ditch cheating with the girl he fell off the cliff with? Child, this is just too much. And then he came home to find out that you were gone and he calls you every day? Erika, me repeating that sounds stupid. So you don't think that sounds like a bunch of bull? Okay. She's like, yeah, he calls and he says, I love you. I miss you. Come home. Are you sure? He says all these things and it just makes it so much harder. She's like, I'm like, you need to just stop. You really need help. Child, both of y'all need help, allegedly. In the next scene, all the ladies reconvene at the house and Kathy is out getting tacos. So as they're sitting there waiting, Garcelle says, you sharing that Tom calls you is probably the saddest thing ever, but none of the other ladies were around. It was just Erika and Garcelle. They were sitting on the couch. Kyle was trying to fetch some muffins or whatever she was doing. And Rena just walked up after Garcelle said it. So Kathy shows up with 50 tacos. Well, honey, a girl's got to eat. Kathy gonna make sure they get full, honey. So they started talking about Erika and her pink Christmas tree. So Erika tells them, she may have to go back early because she's waiting on this transcript. So depending on what she finds out, she may have to leave and deal with some stuff, right? Garcelle said, Erika, if you don't mind me sharing, Erika said that Tom calls her. Erika said, I do mind you sharing because I feel like you're betraying my friendship, but have your moment. Girl, how is she betraying you? It was being filmed. You were mic'd. You are just upset because you've been lying to the other ladies for weeks and it's not coinciding with the lie that you just got through telling Garcelle and Crystal. Garcelle is like, no, it's not like that. I don't want to say it like that. She said, well, let me tell the effing story. Let me tell y'all something. Baby, I do not know who Erika, baby. She got the right ones because it's no way that she could speak to me like this. Why do y'all let her speak her speech to you this way? Honey, this is ridiculous. Child, this is crazy. If you're going to tell the effing story, I hope you tell the effing truth to go along with it. She said, Tom calls me every time, all the time, but I don't take his calls. Child. So then she said, you got it out of me once. Now you're trying to get it out of me again. No, ma'am. You will not pipe up on Garcelle, honey. No, you will not. You offered that information. Okay? She didn't come to you and say, does Tom call you? She did ask you a question about the divorce being planned. But Garcelle is just blunt like that. She even asked Sutton last season, so where do you get your money? How do you get your money? You know, Garcelle just be asking. Honey, she gonna ask questions that everybody wants to know. So I don't understand why you're flipping out on her. This is the thing. Erika always flips her when someone hits her with the truth. Whenever anyone gets too close or threatens to lift her veil, she freaks out. She really does. I have noticed that about her. You got set off because you're telling each of them something different. Garcelle said, well, we were walking and you shared that with me. Like, I would think that she would want her in her confessional. She was like, I would think she would want her friends that she's known longer than me to know. Honey, her and Rena don't know who they've been friends with. Okay, Rena says she's closer to you than she was to Denise, but has known Denise longer than she's known you. And now she's getting upset because you said something, but these ladies have been asking her questions all weekend long. Honey, it's not making no sense. Garcelle, you did absolutely nothing wrong. She's just set off because you're lifting her veil. Okay? That's just what it is. So Erika goes, I was sharing a private moment. Honey, if it was private, why did you say it on camera? I don't care how far away you thought you were from the cameraman, your mic was hot. So when you said it, all of us out here in TV land, we heard it as well. It was not private. So then she starts snotting and Rena's patting her on her back. Rena! Now I heard some things. The streets is talking, okay? And Rena, honey, allegedly they're saying you know a lot more than you're letting on. But I'm just going to leave that there for now. Rena is patting her back and she's snotting and crying and everything. And she said, I've been very open. Garcelle said, you have? She said, and I've been very honest. Garcelle was hush mouth. Honey, you're lying, child. She's like, and I think it's dirty. Girl, oh my goodness, this was just too much for me. She's like, you did it once. Why would you go in front of them and do it again? Translation. Why would you say this in front of these heifers? Now they know that I've been lying to them for weeks because I literally just told Kyle that I never speak to him. And then because of the way you were interrogating me, I got all confused because I felt like I was on the first 48 and I ended up saying something that I should not have said. And now they all know that I lied. That's what's really happening. Child, she is breaking all the way down because she realizes she's been talking too much on camera and it's very conflicting stories. Child, she was crying so much I thought Garcelle was sleeping with Tom. I'm like, did you find Garcelle over the cliff? Or like, why are you crying this way, honey? Like, a famous person once said, honey, I don't know who it was, but what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. Child, and I'm going to leave that there. So then Dorit starts piping up. She's like, you know, when someone is saying that they don't want to talk about something or you have an indication that they don't want to talk about it, then why would you talk about it? Dorit, pipe down, honey. You were not even there. Okay. It was not a secret. It was a lie. Okay. She said it on camera. She did not call Garcelle when you guys weren't filming. She said it and everybody else is going to see it. Whether or not you got it then or later, you were still going to see it. So Garcelle is like, you're making it seem like it's intentional and it's my fault, and it's not. So then Garcelle starts to cry, which made me mad because I'm like, how dare you try to flip this around on her? Let me tell y'all something. I would have cussed each and every one of them out. So Garcelle starts crying because now even Dorit is trying to make her the bad guy. Crystal is like, well, it was a misunderstanding. When you got in the car, she said she didn't want to talk about it, but you had no idea because you did not hear that part. So Garcelle was like, no, I would never want to do anything like that. In the confessional, Sutton said, wait, I'm confused. People don't act like that unless something else is happening. Exactly, Sutton, honey, and I ain't fooling you. I know that's right, Sutton. Erika's in the restroom, boohoo crying, talking about, because I've been honest. I've been truthful. I've been open. Child, please. You're crying because you could have just turned your case upside down, honey. You could have potentially damaged your entire case. But that cry in the restroom, now that was a real cry. And she even wiped her tears. Child, and that was the end of the episode. Baby, this episode was good to me. Let me tell y'all something, and I do mean good. Erika, honey, allegedly you a bold-faced lie, okay? You're getting caught up in these web of lies because you're saying one thing over here, then you come back and say another thing over here. You don't even know how to tell a story correctly. I think you should have sat this season out. Y'all tell me what you think down in the comment section below. And as always, stay safe, stay blessed, spread love, not germs. Peace.